I started rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender because it's my favorite show and I had to. And it has me really, really excited to talk about a lot of things. There's a lot of videos I want to do, but I wanted to start on this because I have been reflecting a lot lately on what makes Avatar: The Last Airbender so great. And I think that there are a lot of reasons, but it's mostly the second half of this video that I'm really excited to talk about, so please stick around for the second half because that's the real reason. But it's all, there's lots of reasons. The show takes place in a vast world filled with tons of different regions, climates, cultures, and beliefs, and we get to experience a ton of it with our main characters. Every new place we go looks completely unique from the last place we visited. From Omashu using its earthbending to make sure that the mail is delivered on time, to waterbending being used for healing and medicine, sand ships, and so much more. And as we're experiencing this world, we're not just experiencing it by going to the different places and seeing it and then leaving, we're experiencing it through the people. We get to know the culture and the beliefs and how they interact with the world through their bending and how that affects them through the people we meet in each area we visit. And we also further the plot by furthering the world building through the people. So as we see how the different regions, the different groups of people have their different beliefs and cultures and interact with the world, we also see how the war is affecting the entire world in different unique ways in every region. And because of this, we get to see Aang go from having to save the world because he's the chosen one to needing to save the world because he needs to help these people. And in the exact same way, we, the viewers, go from agreeing, yes, the world should be saved and it should be saved by Aang because he's the chosen one, to being personally invested in seeing Aang succeed because we have lived all throughout this world. We have experienced the different unique ways that each region matters, and we are invested in the people too. And really that last thing that I just said about us being invested in the story, it's kind of the point that I'm gonna make in every section of this video, but just pretend I didn't tell you that and keep watching. Next up, the bending. The concept of elemental magic isn't new or unique to this series, but what the series did is they didn't just take a tried and true and well-loved form of magic and make it completely cool, but they also made it completely tangible. Bending is a part of who you are. It flows from within you and it connects you to the world you're in. Very early on in the story, we become very accustomed with the basics of this magic system, but it is constantly being built on from episode to episode. There are an infinite number of ways bending can be used and is used throughout the series because of the versatility of its very properties. And throughout the series, we see dozens and dozens of ways that it's used throughout the world, which makes it feel tangible and real. Bending really is endless, and because so much of bending depends on the creativity of the person using it, it feels completely limitless. But also, we're really never made to believe that benders have more purpose or value in this world. I mean, there are definitely people in the story that think that, but we, the viewers, are never given that lens. Sokka, for instance, our core normie in this series, has an incredible character arc of feeling inferior, yet constantly fighting to prove himself to be a warrior and a leader and to show his value in the group and in his family and in his tribe. Yet he's constantly surrounded by people who are more strong and powerful than him because of either their bending abilities or because of just their training. And Sokka ends up finding his place in this world and in the system that he's trying to take part in and proves himself to be just as valuable as everybody else around him, except maybe Aang, who is definitely the most valuable. But everybody else he's just as valuable as. And I think that Sokka has one of the most satisfying character arcs of not the most satisfying character. His character arc is very satisfying. I have a whole video that I want to do on the individual character arcs in Avatar and how they are phenomenally written, but that's not what we're doing today. So maybe I'll talk more about this later. But the way they animated the bending in this series is absolutely brilliant. It's so fluid and intentional, and the action in the series is only brought up a notch by how cool the bending looks in fights and in all-out battles. And because bending flows from within, and because there are certain parts of bending that you can't even access without pulling deeply within you, the bending itself is emotional. The bending and the action itself in the series is so emotional. It's brilliant. The twists in the series, like finding out that Iroh didn't in fact kill the last dragons, Aang going to fight Ozai and then realizing that they knew about his plan the whole time and he's not going to be able to face off against them at the time that he thought he needed to. Zuko's many personal setbacks in his redemption arc because he can't shake the ties of needing to be accepted and loved by his family. These twists and so many more rely on emotion. The twists aren't just a surprise and a show-stopping moment. They specifically focus on the characters and how these things affect them and their personal arcs and their personal beliefs and their personal developments. How it affects their hope, their inner conflict, and who they are. Both the character twist and the plot twist make the story not only feel more unpredictable, but also so real. But it's also the extreme emotions that these characters go through that makes the show so unique. Because while it's well told and cool and action-packed and filled with fantastic humor, it's also filled with characters going through extreme lows, massive insecurities, failures, faults, and through it all, standing by each other, showing extreme vulnerabilities of the deeply flawed, and on the other side of it, always showing that they are valuable and that they deserve love no matter what. Seriously, just in preparing this video, I've rewatched a dozen scenes out of context and cried a dozen times, even without having these emotional scenes in their correct context. It's incredible. Not to mention that all of this action and emotion and deep themes that we are exploring in this series are wonderfully balanced with incredible humor. Whether it's used to break the tension or just in our downtime with the characters, there's humor sprinkled throughout every episode that makes such a thematically heavy show still feel light and feel good. And finally, the character arcs. Again, I have a whole video coming about this in particular, but this is a huge part of what makes this series so good, in my opinion. A huge part of what makes us so invested in what's going on in this show is because the characters are allowed just to breathe. We have scenes and even entire episodes where we're just hanging out with our characters as they chill together and exist. Sometimes they're in social situations, or sometimes it's situations of personal interest that serve no purpose but to let us get to know the characters more and make them feel more fleshed out and authentic. This is also where we get a lot of our humor. Like I said before, the humor is often used to break tension in devastating moments, but a lot of times it's just used to bring us closer to the characters, get to know them, hang out, laugh with them, and endear us to them. And the humor in this show is fantastic. Every time. But these moments to breathe make us more attached to the characters, which means when the really emotional moments come, we're not just following the story, we're actually invested because we care. We care about the characters, and we're invested not just in seeing them in action, but in them as people. In fact, there are some fight scenes where barely a word is said, yet I'm more on the edge of my seat and emotionally invested in those fights than any other because of the character work that was done beforehand in those slower scenes. It's really amazing to me that a show intended for kids tackled such heavy and nuanced themes and trusted its viewers with these heavy emotions, with exploring pain and abandonment, abuse, insecurities, mental health struggles, burdens on our shoulders, finding yourself, and breaking free of the things that bind you. It's accessible to anyone, relatable to everyone, and sticks with us not only because the animation is great and the magic is brilliantly executed and the fights are awesome, but because it trusts the viewers to understand such complex emotions and themes and takes us through it with them. I have a ton of videos that I really want to do on Avatar as I'm rewatching the series. Like I said, I want to do a video dedicated to how it handles character arcs. I want to do videos over analyzing some of my favorite scenes or some of the themes that I think they nailed. There's a lot of stuff that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about, so I really hope that you'll hang out with me while I make these videos, because this is my favorite show. It's a show that I experienced the first time here on the channel. I watched it and talked to you about it as I watched it for the first time, and as I'm rewatching it, I'm once again blown away at how much it accomplished, and I'd really like to keep talking to you about it. So I hope you'll stick around with me. I hope you'll watch these videos, because I'm so excited to talk way too much about a story that ended a long time ago. But please do continue talking to me about this in the comments. Please let me know what you think makes this show, this series, so incredible after so many years. What's your favorite part or parts about this story? I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on this channel, and I post vlog videos on Thursdays on the second channel, which will be linked down in the description. I'll see you again soon. Bye.